Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Pam Gunther, and welcome to the Painted Playground from Vision to Sustainability webinar series. This is the first of a five-part series. There's a lot of questions that have come up over a long period of time, so I'm hoping that you'll get a lot out of this particular part. I think this is a great place to start. There we go. And then a little bit about me. I'm the founder and CEO of Fit and Fun Playscapes. But I'm also an architect and a planner. I'm a PTA parent. I was a president way back in the day. And I'm a proud parent of three young adults boys. And I'm on a few different board positions. I'm on the board of trustees for our local Chamber of Commerce. I am also on the board for Abilities First, which is an organization that serves a few thousand individuals in the Hudson Valley with different intellectual and developmental disabilities. I'm also on the Advisory Council for Scouting America and also for the Women's Enterprise Development Corporation. And a little bit about Fit and Fun. We are celebrating 15 years this May, which is crazy. I started it out of my home back in the day. We've helped thousands of schools over the 15 years, and we've certainly are confident in helping over 1 million kids as well. I do see a typo in my presentation. I'm sorry, but we all provide indoor, outdoor, and portable solutions to get people of all ages and abilities moving. All right, let's dive in. So the purpose of this presentation is the benefits of playground markings, why we are talking about this, why this is important. We want to learn about the physical, social, sensory, and academic benefits, sensory and academics of painted play spaces. And I want to show you some resources supporting these benefits and how painted playgrounds are a great economical and inclusive solution. So let's dive in. So I'm going to provide you with a list of statistics and links and citations. So don't feel like you have to jot this all down. I'll send you a downloadable with this information as well, but just take it all in because this is a fraction of the data that's out there. And so for this particular statistics about children's health, and I will focus on youth health. I was looking at the group that signed up, and a lot of them are in the education space and community public health. But so a lot of the statistics here are mostly from the CDC. I want to make sure we've got valid information, as valid as we can ascertain. So about 22.1% of elementary school children in the US, ages 6 to 11, are considered obese. That is a pretty big amount. Only 23.9% of US high school students are physically active for at least 60 minutes on all 7 days of the week. And the percentage of students meeting daily physical activity guidelines was reduced from about 27% in 2013 to about 25% in 2023. You're thinking, oh, well, that's only, 2%. That's not a big deal. But when you look at the actual numbers, it's hundreds of thousands of students and children. The statistics about mental health, and this is, I think more important now than ever about the state of our adolescent and children's health. So about 21% of children ages 3 to 17 in the United States have a diagnosed mental, emotional, development, or behavioral disorder. The percentage of children 3 to 17 with mental, behavioral, or developmental disorders increased from 25.3 in 2016 to 27% in 2021. And here we are 5 years later after 2021, and that number has increased. They don't have all the data in yet. And among children and adolescents, The anxiety disorders represent about 16% of them, of the mental health disorders, making the most common mental health condition for our children. And these statistics come from the CDC. In terms of sensory health and sensory needs, studies estimate that about 5 to 16% of school-aged children experience sensory processing difficulties. The research estimates around 1 in 20 children, about 6.5% of children, have sensory processing challenges that affect daily functioning. Sensory, like autism and ADD, ADHD, represent a spectrum of challenges. So this represents the ones that represent that affect daily behaviors, daily challenges, daily functions. Sensory processing differences occur in up to 90% of individuals with autism spectrum disorder. So there's definitely overlap in sensory processing disorder and autism spectrum disorder. These statistics are from the Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health, the American Journal of Occupational Therapists, and some other articles as well. In terms of academics, the average reading score for fourth grade students declined by 2 points between 2022 and 2024. And in 2024 is 5 points lower than 2019. So that's a big difference when you look at that scale. The average fourth grade math score increased slightly 2 points from 2022 to 2024, but remains 3 points lower than 2019. And about 35% of 12th grade students scored at or above the NAEP, which is the Education School Proficiency Levels, in reading in 2024. And about 22% of 12th grade students performed at or above the NAEP proficiency levels in mathematics. So large impacts on academics. These come from the National Center for Education Statistics and some articles as well. So kind of bringing this all together is the real topic of this discussion, which is physical activity and painted playgrounds. The fact is that physical activity can help our children improve on all these statistics. The best way to have children be physically active is through active play and engagement in sports. Painted playgrounds as a tool. Um, Painted playgrounds, particularly school recess, is the most popular way of providing active play to youth. And during this presentation, I'll intertwine or intermix the terms painted playgrounds, painted play spaces, maybe even recess, and maybe even playgrounds, but I'm not talking about the climbing equipment, which is a whole different type of tool and equipment. I'm talking about paint down on the ground to create activities and games for children. So, in terms of recess, I just want you to all know that recess is defined within the school system. It is a regularly scheduled period in the school day for physical activity and play. It is unstructured play. It is monitored by trained staff or volunteers, but it is not physical education. Those two separate periods during the school day. During recess, students are encouraged to be physically active and engage with their peers in activities of their choice. They get to do what they want to do, almost what they want to do, out on the playground. And this applies to all grade levels K through 12. The CDC recommends a minimum of 20 minutes of recess, and that helps also come up with the CDC's recommendation of 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity every day for 6 to 17-year-olds. Recess is, like I said, it's not physical education. Physical education is where structured activities as part of the curriculum happen. Yes, a great part of physical education involves play, especially for the younger kiddos, but PE focuses on skills, wrapped into the games that they're playing, quote unquote playing. Other opportunities where children can get physical activity is at before and after programs, after school or programs off-site. They can have physical activity at camp. They obviously can have it in their backyards on the street, but that's declining. It can happen with at community recreation and parks departments and part of their programming. And interesting, second in line to painted playgrounds to schools. The next up is public health departments, followed by parks and recs and community programmings. The World Health Organization, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and the American Heart and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services all recommend 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity daily for adolescents. It involves aerobic with muscle and bone strengthening activities, and they are recommending at least 3 days a week. That slide was a big mouthful. Hopefully you got all that. Schools and communities love to install painted play spaces because it is a simple, low-cost intervention that can address these needs that we've just discussed, provide universal benefits, and span across many different settings and environments. Painted playgrounds can provide fitness opportunities, improve motor skills, provide games for people of all ages and abilities to interact and engage. They can provide sensory opportunities as well to help them regulate and reset. They can include conflict resolution tools, especially out on recess where there's a large group of children vying for different games in a very short period of time. Problems show up. So to have conflict resolution tools, one of our products is a peace path to help children learn how to talk through those conflicts and to negotiate and navigate those social skills are really important out there. Mindfulness, things like yoga poses and breathing and resetting activities, restorative activities are really important outside and on any playground. And then also to blend in literacy and numeracy skills are a really fun activity no matter where the painted playground takes place to try to, like I'm a mom, I want everything out. I want it colorful. I want it fun. I want it to be, educational. I want it to help them in so many ways. So a good approach to playground planning, and I'm not going to go into it on this part, is to intertwine all of these options into the playground space. Studies that support painted playgrounds, and these are just a few that I found. And this is particularly about how playgrounds can positively impact school culture and community. They are multicolored playground markings significantly increase children's moderate to vigorous physical activity, like I just mentioned, during recess, and were identified as a low-cost strategy for improving daily activity levels. Recess provides social, emotional, and behavioral benefits, including peer interaction and cooperation skills. And then school physical activity and recess benefit mental, emotional, and physical well-being in children. Play environments help develop motor coordination, body awareness, and sensory motor skills in children. And basically, all the research shows positive associations between physical activity, academic performance, including grades and test scores. Now, in community atmospheres, this is really important too, because communities are asked now more than ever to kind of step up and support what's happening on the playgrounds and in the schools. So we work with a lot of community health organizations that take these same principles and these same results that they want to achieve those same results and incorporate them into their community play spaces and playgrounds and parks. A lot of these studies come from the Preventative Medicine Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health, also the CDC, and an assortment of other articles. In terms of painted playground and recess advocacy, these are three of just a few. I've mentioned the CDC a few times. And I think you're all familiar with that, but they have a whole section on playgrounds and physical activity and recess that I can put in a link after this presentation and provide to you. They also have strategies for implementing that and really give the foundation for choosing games and diversity of games out on any playground. They did that recess strategy with Shape America. And again, for our people, our participants that are not in school, but are community-based, a lot of the strategies that they provide can be easily and quickly translated into a community playground rather than a school playground. And then this is a new resource that I just learned about, surprisingly, even after 15 years. It's called Kids Need Recess. And let me share this with you. They have this great map of the United States, and it's fairly well maintained and updated. It talks about mandated recess because recess is such an important part of our youth getting their physical activity. This is really important. And if you can see, so the red is that there's no mandate. The brown, yellow is what's recommended only. That means the state only provides recommendations about recess timing. And the green is yes, that there are state mandates, state laws for required recess during school. I'm always stunned at how much red is on here and not so much green. And I think it speaks to a variety of disappointments. And it also speaks to the prioritization of academic skills, um, and and I think even the choice of parents choosing to have physical activity, structured activities outside of school. But I think that we can do a lot better. And I do see there's a lot of great organizations that talk about uh, mandating recess, and particularly one called Say Yes to Recess. They're very active in advocating and getting those laws passed throughout the country. So they're mission driven. Um, let's see. I wanted to mention this other study in particular that Fit and Fun had the pleasure of being involved with and still are involved with. So in 20, it's called Painted Play Spaces, and it's out of the state of Oklahoma. And in 2020, they were looking to partner with their Department of Education was partnering with the Department of State, the Department of Health, and the University of Central Oklahoma. And they worked with a grant under the CDC, and the CDC has this program or initiative called, for short, it's called WISC, but it's the whole school, whole community, whole child initiative. So, looking at that initiative, they created an unbelievable resource for the rest of the states to enjoy. They basically used many of our stencils, created a whole strategy about how to plan and organize the stencils. They used the recess strategies that I mentioned before, and they created, I want to say, dozens of playgrounds throughout the state at this point. I'm guessing about we're still working on schools with them, between 50 and 60 playgrounds across the state. And so their mission was to enhance the play environments at schools by using colorful paint and stencils to create recess games that promote physical activity, things like copycat and foursquare and hopscotch. And their main goal, like I said, was to increase physical activity and student engagement. And these are some of the data that they collected, and the top one being over 90% of the students engage in active play. And that's really important because a lot of times, if you've got playgrounds that only have climbing equipment, you have children that their motor skills aren't that strong and they are discouraged to climb or they're apprehensive to climb. You have inclusive schools that have inclusive recess, where a large amount of the population will not be able to physically navigate climbing onto play equipment. You've got many parts of the country that in inclement weather, they can't use the climbing equipment. Um, so to create activities that resonate with all the children out there, that's really important. And that was one of their main core focuses was to get more kids engaged, not just the kids that like to play kickball and like to play basketball and foursquare. They were looking for games that really resonated with all kinds of kids. This study reached at that time in 2021 over 2,000, almost 2,500 students. So it was a comprehensive survey over a few years, and they're still implementing the strategies and making more painting more playgrounds out there. Um, so like I said, they do use zoning as well. So to create passive and more active areas as well as other zones for physical activity. And this SUNY Brockport, their physical education department is also studying. They're into their second or third year now, utilizing our stencils and paint to determine how active the students are with the introduction of stencils and painted games, painted playgrounds out there, and also how it impacts their social emotional learning outcomes as well. And they're also integrating how the staff engage as well, because a lot of the games adults should be using as well. So interesting stuff there. And I also wanted to mention, because I briefly mentioned in the last slide, the inclusive component of painted playgrounds. The impacts of these are really important. So what does inclusive recess stencils mean? It means that children with physical, developmental, and intellectual disabilities should and can be able to play alongside their peers. I have Marnie on this call here from Inclusion Matters by Shane's inspiration. And we have been collaborating with them for, I guess it's close to a year now, Marnie, on how we want to approach those stencils, given the diverse challenges that a lot of our children have these days. And it's increasing as well, especially those intellectual and developmental disabilities. And so, how do we create a set of stencils that promote empathy and social inclusion? And how do we create them that where they're versatile and they can go along walking trails or around the sidewalks where the mulch is located or other surfaces where a child in a wheelchair simply cannot navigate? And then how do we create movements and things where it really helps children interpret and what that movement means and be more creative and thoughtful about what it means and how it speaks to them. And then as we wind down, I just want to mention Fit and Fun, some of the resources that we have. We have presentations like this one. This is the first of 5, but I encourage you to take a look at some of our blogs that are accessible on our website, our Playground and Recess Resource Center, as well as our Sensory Path and Physical Education Resource Centers. NSCL centers. And we also have a page for grants and funding. It has been a little slim these days, but we still try to cultivate and load new opportunities out there for our community. You can access any of our stencils through our shopping pages, and you can access our digital catalogs as well. Fit and Fun for the last, oh gosh, 10 years at least has provided numerous professional development sessions on site or virtual like this. So we can offer those to anyone on this call or that joins, signs up for our emails or reaches out to us. And then if I'm going to wind this down, but if you would like to meet with me or someone on my team separately, we can set up a free one-on-one consultation as well. So before I open it up to questions, and I hope you have some, I wanted to mention that our next session next week is going to be focusing on actual painting. It's Painting 101, methods, materials, and best practices. This is really a cultivation of a culmination of all these years of experiences that we've shared alongside our customers. We get a lot of questions about stencils. Do I need them? What kind do I need? What kind of paint? When do I paint them? All of those things we're going to bring together for you for another 30-minute session. And then lastly, I wanted to share with you a little exclusive. I'm going to send you this presentation with all the citations attached and links to it. But I'm also going to give you a coupon code for 15% off. So you'll get that. And so here's a little brief look at the citation. So I meant it when I said it. But right now, I'm going to open this up to any questions that you have. So you can unmute and ask away. I hope you have some for me. Anyone? No one? Oh, it's a shy group. Well, I saw that someone is here from a library. May I ask a question then? Because I am always asking questions. Do I have, who was it? Was it Dodie? Dodie, are you still here? Can I ask you a question? Maybe not there.
She said yes in the chat.
Okay, now let me go to the chat now. Great, Dodie. Thank you so much. Sorry to put you on the spot, but your sign up did jump out at me because we have a lot of educational and community folks on this meet. But I wanted to know if how your thoughts about implementing painted playgrounds in a library setting. Last spring, I attended the International Play Conference, sorry, the US Play Conference in Indiana University, and they had numerous librarians and library staff there trying to bring more engagement to their library, where the library is really becoming a hub in the community. So I would want to pick your brain a little bit. If you could share with us, either by chat or just speaking, that would be awesome.
Well, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Let me put my phone on mute. That's why I usually mute because I have a million things going on at the same time.
Oh,
At Anderson County Library, the main library, I've been there 8 years in the youth services department, and we have a children's courtyard. So I worked on getting grants to renovate that. So we have a sensory garden there, a Carolina fence garden, and we've added benches in the sun sail, and we have some uh, like flower chalkboards that are up. And there's QR coded plant tags, but they can walk you through activities with the sensory garden and history on the Carolina fence. But we've added like a certain hopscotch in there and painted in there. And there's lots of concrete and brick because when this was designed 20 years ago, everybody thought it needed to have lots of concrete and brick. So we use lots of chalk out there and do a lot of activities. So I would love to incorporate maybe tic-tac-toes. We had a whole sidewalk that was redone outside the children's courtyard that's got all of this sidewalk that I would love to add things like this for, and it's low cost for us at the library. I can write small grants to be able to do this. And we've gone from just 1,000 the first year that we did the gardens, and now we're like at 7,000 people visit it. We use it for our story times. We use it for environmental education activities. We do Project Feeder Watch, Coco Reyes, any kind of environmental thing. So we try to make it a soft push for folks that come in, any families, but also for any kind of programs that our youth librarians want to do. So this is perfect for us because we don't have a lot of money, so we like small things that can be used with all of our programming.
That's fascinating, Jody. And do you feel that the games that you've put down there already is one of the factors that I'm going from 1,000 to 7,000. I didn't catch it in how many years, but that's a big jump.
Oh, the kids like it. Free play is so important. And for example, after story times, if they do crafts and things, they can go out there and you see them with their parents doing free play. And some kids will actually be just doing the sensory garden, running that little walkway, or using the chalk, and they expand on what we've painted there, just doing the hopscotch. They'll draw all kinds of pictures and they'll continue with the numbers or the letters. So it's really nice to see. I mean, it's just a great space
I
for
love
everybody
that.
outside. Yeah.
I love that. We worked with a library a few years ago and they took our maze stencil and
Mhm.
then they painted letters in it. I think they even hand painted. I don't think they used one of our stencils. And so they can walk through the maze and find the letters outside their you know, part of their summer program, that an after school programming, just to have letters to increase and improve literacy even at a very young age. So I love that idea. I love that.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Would anybody else like a question? Like Amanda Curtin particularly? You're with Amanda, you have a question for me?
I don't. We've worked with Fit and Fun for we've recently I work for St. Peter's Health Partners here in the Capital District in New York. And we work under the Creating Healthy Schools and Communities grant. So, with that, I have 4 school districts that I work with. And one of them, we actually just purchased a bunch of their mats for some of their self contained classrooms, just to have some more movement throughout their day. And get kind of that stuff rolling for them, especially since those kids have some more limited movement throughout the day and transitions at a middle school level. So they're kind of stuck in one room. But we gave them those mats to kind of help
Oh, awesome.
create some movement.
I feel like a few years ago there was a lot of stencils and maybe indoor sensory paths that we maybe not in your districts, but with St. Peter's Health. So I'd love to
Yeah.
reconnect with you. So you're just working with the schools, right? You're not working in the beyond the school community.
Yes, right now
Okay.
we subcontract on the community end, so we work specifically with the school districts.
Okay. Okay. That's
And
great.
I do know that there was just, I know you were talking about recess. There was just a bill that was introduced to make sure that recess was something that is mandated in New York State. So that may be up and coming for New York.
I I I hope so. I'm in contact with some of the folks that are trying to advocate and push that through. And I really would have liked to have been a part of that. I just couldn't commit to going to the Capitol and all of that.
Mhm.
But it's important, and I'm glad that, I'm hoping you all understand the importance of recess in the community. In the neighborhood that I live in, the school playground is actually the community playground. So it's dual purpose. It's not, close the gates and it's open to the community. It was partially funded with community funds. Oh gosh, 20 years ago, something like that. So there is that overlap between school and community playgrounds, very often in New York City as well. Um, Carmela and Stacy, you're from Sullivan 180. I'm calling you out now. Sorry. So you're in more beautification projects. Can you share with the group, not why you're here, but, why this webinar series resonated with you? And I do hope, I know I spoke a lot about recess in school, but I do hope that you were able to make that mental leap over to community playgrounds because it's all there. It's the same stuff, just slightly different terminology.
Sure, I'll discuss my program and then I'm going to hand it off to Stacy to discuss her program. So I run the beautification program within Sullivan 180. Our focus is the health and wellness of Sullivan County, New York. Um, what I work with communities and schools. Uh, Learned about the painted about this I'm like drawing blank. Fit and Fun. You're on our merchant discount list, so you provide discounts to our grant recipients. So the beautification program is a grant program, and we offer up to $2,500 to communities and schools to beautify, enhance their public spaces. I'm looking at this with the possibility of incorporating this into my grant program.
Mm.
So it will free up some funds from other grant programs like Stacy's, the Empowering Healthier Generation, and possibly make it more of a beautification component. So I'm just kind of learning more about it. Uh, and it's pretty exciting to me.
Good, good. Did you find the facts and statistics that I provided? Do you think those would be helpful for you to make that case, to make that grant switch? Because, a lot of these, if not all these grants, you can't just ask for money. I mean, you can, and a lot of, especially if it trickles down from federal and state funding, you won't get it. You need to back it up with statistics and facts and so
Yeah,
and
definitely.
data. So I thought this would be a great way to start, just understanding the problems and what's out there.
Yeah, for sure. I think it knowledge is power, right? So having that knowledge is really helpful. I taught my past life, I taught as a Montessori teacher, and we were always outside, and it was very disturbing to me when my kids were older and they weren't getting recess time because they pushed towards the academic end. So I'm, cheerleading for the recess end as well. And we offer grants. So the beauty of my program is I offer grants to the schools and the community parks and whatnot to beautify their spaces.
Are
So
you finding that you're getting a good amount of applications? I know parents are so busy these days. It's part of the, working with the PTA and PTO is that they're finding in some communities there's grant money there. But, nowadays, more and more people are working, both parents are working. And so to do a volunteer type of event, including painting playgrounds, is hard for some families and many communities. So I'm hoping that you're getting good, good response, good interest.
we're trying real hard. It is schools getting into schools. I found I've worked with community volunteers for many years, and now we're pushing more towards schools. And it's been a slow but steady progress. I found working with administrators and buildings and grounds crews have been the most helpful because the buildings and grounds people know their facility. They know so talking to them and getting that foot in that direction has been really helpful for me, as
Yeah,
well as getting the administrators on board.
agreed. And I think that people forget like a lot, if you're using stencils or if you're not, if you have a creative person in the community and you're
Mhm.
drawing things out, you can get scouts to do it in 4-H groups. They are capable of painting. Is it going to be perfect? Probably not, but
Yeah.
they don't notice it like adults do. They don't notice those things. So, painting pavement is largely forgiven, largely forgiven. One time I was on a paint event and a child dropped a whole container of paint.
Oh,
We turned it into a flower. What are you going to do, right?
exactly.
So I'm excited to have the part about tips and and planning and paint day planning as well. A lot of P's in this.
Yeah.
Who came up with that idea? Um, Anybody else have any other questions? Well, hey, it's a beautiful day out here in New York finally, so we don't have to stick around till 4 o'clock. It's really open-ended. Going once, coming twice. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me and joining us. I hope you had great value with it, and I'll be sending a follow-up email with the downloadables, and I might eventually have someone up, take the recording and put it up on the website somewhere, and I'll send that to you when we do that as well. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, and please have a wonderful rest of your day.